It's about aerospace legend, Professor Chaim Eshed in Tel Aviv, Israel, who has released a new book entitled The Universe Beyond the Horizon that I mentioned last week on my Earth Files broadcast. So far, the book exists only in Hebrew, but its focus is on Professor Eshed's long history of work for Israel's space and satellite operations. And a pleasant surprise is the book's epilogue, in which Professor Eshed has revelations about other intelligences from elsewhere in the universe, here on Earth, on the Moon, on Mars, and beyond. And he says they have been based on Earth in our solar system for a long time. In the new year, I'm going to do a book review with the help of Ido Shimoni in Belgium, who has stepped forward to help me make translations from the Hebrew in that book to English. But it's the news in that epilogue that made the December 4th front page of Israel's largest circulation newspaper, Idiot Aronoth. The large Hebrew headline on the right reads, quote, "The aliens have asked not to announce that they are here. Humanity is not ready yet," close quote. And on the left side, the smaller Hebrew text says, quote, "Professor Chaim Eshed headed the Israeli space program and led the OFEC satellite launch project, but it was only after he left his official duties that he turned to what really interests him, aliens." In his new book, The Universe Beyond the Horizon, Professor Eshed argues that aliens from all over the universe are already walking among us on Earth, that close encounters of the third kind are just around the corner, and that a galactic federation is delaying the publication of information to humans on Earth so as not to cause panic. Professor Eshed even tells how the aliens prevented some nuclear holocausts, close quote. The author of the newspaper article is Renan Shuked, a staff feature writer for Idiot Aronoth. He describes Professor Eshed as, quote, "one of the most respected and smartest astronauts in Israel," close quote. Professor Eshed headed the Israel Space Agency's administration at the Ministry of Defense and was directly responsible for planning and developing Israel's satellite program and launching the first satellite, OFEC-1, in 1988. Yesterday, Tuesday, December 15th, I was able to do a Zoom interview with Renan Shuked about his newspaper interview with Professor Eshed. We began with, how do extraterrestrials get around this big universe?
You don't have to use rocket engine. You can go as fast as you like using quantum mechanics and black holes, and that is probably what they do.
Renan, I just want to insert here. It is my understanding from current day physicists who have talked with me off the record that the advanced intelligences move space.
Yeah, exactly.
They collapse time like a waveform. They collapse time to zero, and then it is dot to dot. It is not moving with propulsion. It is literally moving space-time.
Exactly what Eshed showed me. He says if you're going to take this piece of paper and you put an ant right here, and the ant wants to go over here, it's going to take it a while. But if you fold this like that, then she gets here in no time, right?
Right.
And this basically demonstrates how they fold space-time in order to, you don't have to propel the vehicle. They just do space-time. So yeah, that's one other thing he was saying. What else? Well, he said that President Trump almost gave it away because of his tendency to to tweet and talk quite a bit, but eventually he did not. Professor Ashton mentioned evidence that the extraterrestrials, that they have been in contact with quite a few world leaders throughout the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s up till today, and that they have been given a permission to explore some limited parts, mostly in the United States, but not just the United States, and make some experiments for their own good and for their research. But they have conditioned it on the thing not being publicized. The extraterrestrials don't want to have it publicized before they decide to make an official contact, because they are concerned about mass hysteria or just general chaos that might occur here. The extraterrestrials are kind of waiting for the right moment and the right conditions to be able to actually get in contact and kind of reaching out to us.
If Professor Ashton and so many other people that I have known who have remained non-public but have shared with me about their own face-to-face with non-humans over the past 50 or 60 years, and if Professor Ashton can talk about his own knowledge of a variety of advanced intelligences that are both studying the Earth and protective of the Earth, why can't the general human population be introduced in the same way? The physicists and the leaders of the world have not collapsed. Therefore, they have been working with advanced intelligences since World War II. Why then cannot that relationship be applied to the whole planet?
He said that the extraterrestrials are taking their time because of the possible outcomes of mass hysteria.
But they didn't have mass hysteria meeting with them, right?
Well, actually, he didn't. He said that he never met with them in person. He doesn't claim that. He said that he spoke to people who did throughout his work with NASA people and other people. The thing is that the people who did get in touch with the extraterrestrials sworn to secrecy, and if they ever break it, they usually pay for that with their lives. That's what he said.
Do you mean that people, humans, Homo sapiens sapien, who have talked about
meeting with them, who gave it away, although they were supposed to keep quiet about it, they were executed. That's what he said.
Right, but are they executed by Homo sapiens sapien leaders, or are they executed by extraterrestrials?
By governments or by people, by governments or leaders who needed to keep it a secret. And I've asked him how can that be? Especially nowadays with social media and everything, how can you keep secret of that scope for so long? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And he said, well, actually it does, because if you would think about, say, Manhattan Project, okay? There were like over 100,000 people working on that project, and how many people knew what it was actually about? 3 or 4 of them. So if a government decides to keep something confidential, that is what's been happening with everything that has to do with extraterrestrials.
please now explain that segment of the interview where he goes into the deep underground base in a lava tube on Mars?
He just said that there was a base over there, and I said, how can there be a base, because we know the conditions on Mars. And he said, no, it's underground, and underground you have the appropriate conditions for astronauts, for human astronauts to work and live, and they share their work there with aliens or extraterrestrials, and that they've been there for a while, and it's all underground.
And that ties into what the scientist from White Sands told me in 1988, that he knew a physicist who said he had been to Mars 6 times to work in an underground lava tube base where humans and extraterrestrials were working. I had that experience in 1988. What is the collaboration about in the Mars base underground?
I cannot tell you. I mean, I don't know. I never asked him that. I don't know if he knows.
Well, we are all in agreement that even though Elon Musk is supposed to launch for the first time to Mars maybe in 2024, that you, Professor Ashton, I, and others have heard about a Martian base all the way back to 1972 in operation on Mars. What did Professor Ashton say about his personal knowledge of the advanced aliens' concern about our nuclear missiles underground, and what do they do?
Well, he actually said that they have always have been concerned with our nuclear weaponry, and that they have been following that as well, and that he knew for a fact that for a couple of times they have actually stopped or prevented possible nuclear crisis. He actually mentioned one example he gave me was the Bay of Pigs in Cuba, in which he said that the extraterrestrials have prevented or got involved in a way that sort of stopped the crisis. He said that they were playing tricks on American and Russian missile bases, nuclear missiles. I think he said it happened at an American base, yeah. They've tampered with the launch mechanism of the missiles, and they've kind of brought it on purpose to the highest level. They didn't realize why it was happening, because they were awed, they were shocked, and actually they got all the way to the president of the United States, and eventually they've canceled it. I mean, they didn't launch it. They've canceled it, and I've asked Professor Ashton, would aliens or extraterrestrials do that? And he said, just to prove to us what we're dealing with, and just to tell us to play nice with these things, and to take caution.
And so what you've just said on the record from Professor Ashton is that the extraterrestrial advanced intelligences that have been telling leaders since World War II or before, don't let the public know we're here, we are monitoring and we are doing our own laboratory experiments, that what they demonstrated, not only at the Bay of Pigs in Cuba, but around this planet, they have done this.
Yeah,
that we can control your nuclear missiles 80 feet down under the ground. We can take them down and we can turn them on. We can take them out. We can do anything. So don't play around with nuclear war.
Exactly. That is very much what Ashton said, yeah.
What did he say about Elon Musk getting ready to launch to Mars?
Well, he said Elon Musk was aware of all of that stuff, and that Elon Musk was into the subject, and that Elon Musk is aware of the extraterrestrials, and that SpaceX, his company, do work on that matter. He said that, and he met with Elon Musk at some point. So that's what he said.
So when Elon Musk says, I don't know anything about extraterrestrials, he's just kidding us.
I don't know that. Well, Professor Ashton's take is different, and he spoke to Elon Musk. So yeah, I don't know.
What did Professor Eshett say to you that has haunted you the most?
Well, for me, it was actually what I've told you about the cosmic fabric, which I found most haunting. I mean, he said that even after we die, our bodies no longer exist, but our mind and the experience that we've accumulated throughout our life do remain and become part of that cosmic fabric. There's something comforting about that thought. If it is true in any way, shape, or form, then it's great to know that.
After organic death,
Exactly.
there is survival and contribution back to a cosmic whole. And would that not be the soul? The soul is the powerful recycler in and out of organic matter.
Exactly. And so, everything that you experience really has some meaning and does accumulate and stand for something. Conscious lives even after we die physically, and that it becomes part of the cosmic fabric of all the experiences and life. And I've kind of asked him if he didn't think that our soul, or whatever you want to call that, our mind is just, every biologist or chemist will tell you that it's just it's a bunch of pulses and electronics and that goes through your brain cells. And he said, well, I don't think so. I think there's more than that, and it's one of the biggest mysteries of science, and it was solved yet. And it is his take that there's more taken from that cosmic fabric, and eventually goes back to there. Okay.
And that would be the soul recycling into the fabric and then back into organic life and then back to the fabric.
Professor Ashton said that our conscience, our soul, our mind lingers way after our body is gone.